think you know the story of the Unsinkable ship. You've seen the movies, you've read the textbooks, and you've mourned the 1,500 souls lost to the ice. But what if the ship resting 3,800 meters below the North Atlantic isn't the Titanic? Welcome to the most high-stakes insurance fraud in human history. To understand the crime, you have to look at the Titanic's older twin, the Olympic. In 1911, the Olympic was involved in a massive collision with the HMS Hawk that left its central turbine shattered and its hull warped beyond repair. The White Star Line was facing total bankruptcy. They had a broken ship they couldn't fix, and a new ship they couldn't afford to lose. Unless they could find a way to get rid of the ruined one and claim the full insurance payout. Look closely at the shipyard photos from Belfast, 1912. Notice the windows on the B-deck promenade. Notice the hull numbers. Maritime experts suggest a secret swap took place under the cover of night. The damaged Olympic was patched up, rebranded as the Titanic, and sent on a voyage meant to end in disaster. Why did J.P. Morgan, the billionaire owner, cancel his trip just hours before departure, claiming a sudden illness, only to be seen days later at a French resort in perfect health? And why was the sister ship, the Californian, waiting in the middle of a dangerous ice field with no passengers, but thousands of wool blankets and sweaters? For over a century, the abyss has protected this secret. But the rust is starting to peel back the lie. You are about to see the evidence they tried to bury in the silt. This is the file they hoped would stay at the bottom of the ocean. You are now entering the heart of the deception. The physical scars that the ocean was never meant to hide. If you look at the blueprints of the Titanic and the Olympic side by side, they appear identical. But to the trained eye, the differences are screaming. In 1912, the Olympic had an open B-deck promenade. The Titanic, however, was designed with a closed one. Yet when the ship docked in Southampton, survivors noted that the windows had been hastily altered, looking like a patchwork of steel and glass. Then, there is the matter of the hull numbers. The Olympic was hull 400. The Titanic was 401. Divers have recently photographed the propeller blades of the wreck. Underneath a century of salt and rust, the number 400 is clearly engraved on the bronze. That is the Olympic's signature. Why would the Titanic be wearing her sister's shoes at the bottom of the sea? But the fraud goes deeper than steel. J.P. Morgan didn't just cancel his ticket. He also ordered his private collection of bronze statues and priceless Renaissance art to be removed from the cargo hold just 24 hours before sailing. He knew the ship wasn't coming back. And let's talk about the rivets. Metallurgical tests on recovered fragments show they were made of low-grade slag iron, brittle, weak, and destined to snap upon impact. It was a ship built to fail. A grand floating coffin designed to settle a debt. You have to ask yourself, was the iceberg a tragic accident, or was it the ultimate assassin? Beyond the insurance fraud and the ship swap, there are darker, more grounded mysteries that haunted the Titanic's final days. It is a documented fact that a massive fire was burning in coal bunker number 6 for days before the ship even left Southampton. For over a week, the crew fought an internal blaze that reached temperatures of over 1,000 degrees. The heat was so intense, it weakened the steel bulkhead, the very same bulkhead that would later fail when the water rushed in. Why was the ship allowed to sail with a ticking time bomb in its gut? And then, there is the cargo that officially didn't exist. Artifact 2254, the mummy of the princess of Amun-Ra. While some call it a legend, several survivors spoke of a massive, ancient wooden crate on the G-deck of the Titanic that was guarded by private security around the clock. They said it carried a weight older than the British Empire itself. But the true tragedy lies in the lower decks. As the ship began to tilt, reports suggest that the gates to the third class were kept locked far longer than necessary. Was it just a failure of protocol? Or was there an order to keep the panic contained at any cost? Even today, when we scan the debris field, we find leather shoes and personal effects in pairs, marking the places where bodies once rested before the ocean claimed the organic remains. The abyss is a cemetery of secrets, and some of those secrets were meant to be drowned. We are now seeing high-resolution scans of the fire-damaged area, and what they reveal changes everything we knew about the final plunge. You were never supposed to hear the heartbeat of the North Atlantic. For over a century, the official narrative has been a shield protecting a billion-dollar deception that rests 3,800 meters below. In June of 2024, a network of classified deep-sea hydrophones maintained by a multinational defense consortium began recording a series of rhythmic acoustic pulses coming directly from the Titanic's bow coordinates. It wasn't the sound of metal groaning under pressure. It was a sequence, a deliberate, repeating digital code in a frequency used by the White Star Line's private communication protocols from 1912. How can a ship that has been dead for 100 years still be broadcasting? This brings us to the tragedy of the Titan submersible. While the world watched the search and rescue on their television screens, few asked what the mission was actually looking for. Internal memos from the expedition team, leaked just months ago, suggest they weren't taking tourists to see a grave. They were surveillance drones for a private mining conglomerate, searching for a specific anomaly inside the G-deck cargo hold. The exact location of the forbidden artifact, 2254. High-resolution laser scans taken just days before the Titan's implosion show a massive, non-metallic structure fused within the hull, a structure that appears on no known blueprint of the Titanic. Some experts now speculate that the implosion wasn't an accident of material fatigue, but a triggered reaction to an attempt to breach the ship's most guarded secret. By 2025, an autonomous mission reached the stern, and what they found was chilling. The iron was not just rusting. It had been scrubbed clean in specific areas, as if someone, or something, was looking for the hull number 401. But they found 400, the signature of the Olympic. Why do the world's most powerful insurance conglomerates still keep the Titanic's original files under a 150-year seal? Because if the truth surfaces, it won't just rewrite history. It will bankrupt the families that built the modern world. The signal is getting louder. The ice is melting. And the abyss is finally giving up the ghost. Subscribe to the Leviathan Files. Stay away from the deep. Submerge, if you dare.